This conference will now be recorded.
We good? Good now? Sorry about that, Kim. Would everyone please rise for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Dear God, Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight to thank you for all the many blessed things that you have bestowed upon us. Oh Lord, be with everyone throughout the holidays and the coming new year. Bless and keep them all safe. As always, we ask you to pray for peace and goodwill throughout the whole world. Lord, as we go into our meeting tonight, please guide us in a godly manner that we make the right decisions, not only for the town, but for the townspeople too. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, all the council is present, so review and approval of minutes for a regular meeting on November 13th. Everybody had a chance to review the minutes?
I did get with Karen right before, and I gave her the updates for the closed session.
Okay.
So that's taken care of. She's got those notes. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as are.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstain.
I'll abstain
Motion.
if I forgot to mark them. Sorry.
Minutes are approved with one extension. Treasurer's report.
Sure. And I do have a comment that I want to make afterwards, not to push back too much, but I got a couple of things I'd like to ask the council to consider after I do the report. Thanks, Bill. General fund, the month of November ended up with a balance in the general fund of $2,976,807.80. There were a couple of ARC and grant monies that were received, but they're going to be transferred out into different funds as well. The water fund ended up with a balance at the end of November of $594,062.31. And our sewer fund ended up with a balance at the end of November of $269,308.57. Under the town, we have our general fund CDs. The month ended up with a grand total, everything's in the general fund account, $2,492,000.
Sorry, it's the up.
$2 million.
The 2,271. I know because that number in the money market.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry. other column.
$2,271,704.68. Thank you. And then our other accounts, we have our restricted funds account, it's a money market in Milltown Valley with a balance of $2,693,615.61. The American Rescue Plan Act funds in Milltown Valley Bank with $3,063,614.45. And the water fund has a user fee money market account with a balance of $186,710.59. And the sewer fund has a user fee money market account with a balance of $101,284.14. And that is everything.
I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Abstained. Motion carries.
Okay. Two things that I would like to discuss and maybe have a consideration First of all, I'm going to follow up with Middletown Valley Bank on interest rates, but if we can get the same rates, I'm making the recommendation to transfer from the restricted funds, the 1 million from the county, the 1 million from the state, and $100,000 from the rural Maryland, plus interest, over to the water fund user fee account. In addition to that, I'd also like to make a recommendation to transfer from the restricted funds, 250,000 plus interest to the sewer fund user fee account. These funds are going to start to be used from, and to get them out of the general fund over into the account where they belong, I think is going to make accounting a little bit easier. I will verify again, like I said, with Middletown Valley, that the rates in those user fee accounts are going to be the exact same that we're getting in that restricted funds account, which I can't imagine that they won't. But other than that, I'd like to make that recommendation, and I'll also make a motion to what.
On the recommendation, on the 1 million for the county, before you move that into another account to draw interest, maybe you want to check with the county. I think there's stipulation on that went towards the reservoir, and we could not invest that and draw interest on that. It just had to sit there to be used directly for the reservoir.
Well, we're drawing it right now, it's an interest-bearing account.
So if that was.
We don't have any non-interest-bearing
Yeah.
accounts.
You know, when that was discussed before, I told Paul that Paul was supposed to check to see with the county, and it was not. But I think there's this restriction on that you cannot invest in.
But we wouldn't be investing it, just moving it from
Yeah,
one
we're just moving from one interest bearing over
interest-bearing
another.
account to the other, just getting out of the general fund to the water fund, so it's on the right balance sheet.
Well, I can tell you, we, to my knowledge, have nothing in writing.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, if the county doesn't have their funds in an interest-bearing account, I'm gonna call the county commissioner.
The mayor is correct. The mayor is correct, just to throw this out there, that there are grant funding, certain types of grant funding, and things like that, that we do need to be careful of. Some do have those types of stipulations and things.
Well, I know we have the other 500,000 that's going to come down. Use that to
We don't have that.
reverse it, so that.
They give that to us when they're ready.
So I don't think this is going to be an issue.
We can always double check with the county first. We can't really, we don't have much of anything.
Don't have to worry about it. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, the same, abstaining, motion carries. Thank you. Anything else? No public comments there, right?
Just a date on it.
No.
Just a date.
Okay, hold on. Yeah.
Hold on, very well.
Oh, ready to go. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were getting ready for your report. No, sir. I'm sorry. Okay, we have two guests tonight. Our first one comes to us from Sandmar Campus Renovation Plans. Pete, the floor is yours, sir. Welcome.
Thanks for your time, everybody. I'm coming here as a good neighbor, as a local organization that's got some upcoming projects that just wanted to update each and every one of you about. So I think that the mayor provided some of the documentation that our organization is working on, and we also had Mayor Long and organization come out and meet with our team, also just to provide information on what we're doing. And thanks also to the town manager for the kickoff event, just learn a little bit more about what we're up to. So I assume I don't have to tell you what Sandmar, who Sandmar is, but I'll do a quick update. Because you may have always known Sandmar in one way, which was for 130 years, we operated an orphanage, residential programs, group homes. In the community of Boothborough, I think became very aware of our work through kids coming to the local high school. And in the 80s, we made a big shift to serving only teenage girls in our residential program. In the 90s, we also added to our residential services treatment foster care. Our goal was primarily to help kids in social services and foster care have permanency in some way. Maybe return to their family, maybe looking at adoption, any of those types of options. In the 2010s, early 2010s, we really started wrestling with this question of how do we best help kids earlier by helping not only them but their family, so that children will be separated from their parents to get resources. And so often when kids would come to us with the terrible things that already happened in their lives, we have to work not only to help that child but their parents in a separate way. And so our goal really started to shift towards how do we help the parents in these vulnerable communities. And so we started to move a little bit away from residential services as our primary strategy. It became more about community-based services. So St. Mark today has 3 programs. We operate an outpatient mental health center, which provides mental health counseling and other services of that type. Those are not only at our Boonesboro campus, but also in local schools. We offer an organizational priority of foster care, but it's the treatment foster care where we license and train local families in the Washington County area to provide foster homes for kids in need. Those are often kids that might have been placed in group homes in prior times. The other program we offer is something called Best of Community Hope, which is a community-based initiative, which is really targeting families that are living in a lot of poverty, with a lot of trauma. And that is a place-based strategy, which means that a lot of the data we have says that in the South and the Hagerstown, there's a lot of overlapping social problems. And our goal is to have families there. Why am I telling you all this? I'm telling you all this because Anne Marie, we've known it for forever. In 2016, really made a big shift, right? And that shift meant all those programs that we are now doing really got moving, other than foster care, which we are doing. We moved away from residential services, which meant I had these buildings that we were starting to convert and use in different ways, right? There were really more white collar professionals, clinicians and helping professionals in those buildings as opposed to kids living there. And there were kids living there since 2016. Who knew that? Everybody knew that? I always have like 2 people like, what? The kids aren't there anymore? And so I have spent 7 years telling people about the new St. Mark. I became the CEO in 2018. I've been at St. Mark for almost 18 years. So many of you have had interaction with my predecessor that I worked under, Bruce Anderson. He was a long time administrator for our organization for 33 years. So over the past 7 years, we've really just been focused on those community-based services. And we spent several years trying to determine how to best position our campus or whether we should stay at it. We really wrestled with that, trying to understand if we were the right organization to stay with those buildings, or if it made more sense for someone else and for us to potentially sell a portion of that campus. One of the things we did do is in the very back of that image that you have, there's a farmhouse, and on the far right, you go up Farney Church Road and it bends all the way and goes to the end where that church is. We sold 2 parcels of property about 20 or so years because we just didn't need it. And so we sold those, brought those into our savings account, and then continued to ask the question about the front of the campus. What should we do? We explored whether or not we wanted to lease part of the campus or renovate it to do something with a partner. And after a really long journey, it became clear to us that there were major community challenges in Washington County, and we had a potential facility that if they were renovated, we could respond to them. So we started in December of 2022. Our board really looked hard at this and made a final decision that moving remains into the long term. Part of that decision was I'm no longer okay with having empty buildings. We had 2 buildings that were very underutilized. So we spent from December till about August studying programs across the state, exploring communities. And there was a particular population that kept presenting itself, which is these transitioning youth that are 18 and up, 18 to 24, that were really struggling with the transition to adulthood. Kids that had a lot of challenges in childhood, they needed a bridge towards adulthood, more supports. It wasn't enough just to go, they needed a support wraparound system. But we didn't want to step back towards running group home programs. What we really wanted to do was create housing opportunities that had coordinated care. So freedom and autonomy for these young adults to have a place to go, but also accountability and supports so that There's going to be someone looking after what happens in their housing. And so that's what we decided to do. We decided to pursue a program to renovate our oldest building, which is in the middle of that document that you see. And that is the old Finley Center, Rick Orphanage. Driving down the street, it's the obvious one on the side of the road there. We put a plan together to modify to build 15 apartments inside that building, with lots of amenities for these young adults. So there would be 24-hour staff on site. And then basically reorganize. Right now, our foster care team and our administration are in that building. They would move out into the other buildings that are not being utilized. So what you would see in terms of this plan is that the newer buildings would house our mental health operation, which is already one of those buildings. And our foster care services would go to the other newer building that is currently not being utilized, other than for some special projects here and there. On the other side, the old campus, there's the old white building, the old house, the oldest house on the whole property. With the flagpole in front of it, our administration would go back into that building. Many years ago, the administration was in there, which would leave that brick building empty. It would be renovated. So I think the last important thing to note is that primary objective in terms of talking to the town council today is rest assured, I'm not asking you to, so you can all breathe a sigh of relief. The primary reason I'm here, other than giving information, is we are trying to have a comprehensive support to go to the state and other community partners to say everyone has heard about this and understands it. They've been able to kind of kick the tires and ask questions about it. And there may come a time where we need other support or things of that nature from this council. So what we are going to do as we move forward is there's a specialized grant through the Department of Housing and Community Development, which is specific to this type of project. It's called Shelter and Transitional Housing Grant. The great news about that grant is it could potentially fund capital construction estimates between 50 and 70%, which is a major amount of money. And then we would hope to leverage that money with other philanthropy, other foundation dollars to cover the primary renovation of the brick building. Other than the brick building, there would be smaller renovations to the other spaces in order to basically prep them for current use of offices. So no real ask today from you other than giving information as a good neighbor. And so I want to give the remainder of my time to answer questions about who we are and what we're doing. In advance for allowing me to come and share information with you. So how can I be of assistance?
Do I have any questions?
So your guests, residents, where is most of the money that come from? A lot of them, is that purchased from the state or insurance companies or right up here in front?
Great question. So there's no parent expense in this. So we have 3 different programs. All 3 of them are funded differently. So if someone's coming to us for mental health services or all insurance, a lot of our population that we serve for mental health is people that are on public insurance, so MA or some type. Our community services is grant funded, which is in Hagerstown, and in foster care is through a state rate, which there's a special committee called the Interagency Rates Committee that social services, if they place a child in foster care, that county that places that child in foster care with us pays a daily rate for service. So the majority of the people we serve in foster care are Washington, Frederick County, Western Maryland kids, but we definitely serve kids from other surrounding counties, Montgomery County, Carroll County, in that area, as well as Baltimore. But that has a lot to do with a lack of resources across the state for foster care. For this particular project, there's a little bit up in the air of the primary funding strategy for the operation. Our focus right now is on capital. Once the building is renovated, there's 2 ways we can go with it. One way would be to do it as a pure housing model. Where we're leaning toward is more of independent living. Independent living allows us to get reimbursed the same way that we get reimbursed. Is that we receive a rate for a young person. And that allows us to have a more comprehensive amount of services. If you look at traditional housing programs, there are not as many resources for coordinated care after someone's in housing. There's a lot of money for the housing itself. So what we know about these kids, they need all those supports. It's not just about this.
Do you involve in the adoption process and all of that takes place or just fostering?
We're a licensed adoption agency, so our foster care program, we have readoptions in the past 4 months. It's not our primary emphasis. Our primary goal is family reunification and strengthening, but there are certainly kids that come to us with a pretty significant traumatic background. We're able to provide that.
What your success rate would be getting from teenagers?
It's much more difficult, and I would say part of the strategy of a program like this is that there was a time when we operated residential referrals from mid to mid 80s all the way until 2016 when we stopped offering residential. That we had a small house, familiar, I guess, about water, and water is a big discussion. We have a blue water tower, a 90,000 gallon water tower that feeds our whole campus.
Would you borrow some?
No. I'm scared to bring it up because I'm waiting for it. So the discussion about that water tower is that the base of it, we used to own a ranch home there. That we sold. That ranch home is now owned by a private family on campus, but it used to be kind of an independent living house. All the kids, these 3 kids, lived together in one home. You know, this is more of an apartment model that provides a lot more independence now.
Any other questions? Like Jared and I told you at the meeting we had with you, anytime you need a letter, please let us know. We'll be glad to write you a letter of support to help you out with any type of grants that you shoot for. And when you get ready to go to the planning commission, please let me know.
Yeah, I would do that. Appreciate it.
No problem. But hopefully you succeed. It's nice to have you all back.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been here. It's just been different. That's what we've been doing. It's been more on the community basis. So what I'll leave you with is that we've spent 7 years telling people, there's no girls that live in our. And so once we open this program, I'm going to have to change that and say that this program, in terms of transition age youth, will be designed for adolescent and young adult females. So I'm going to have to spend another 7 years telling that story so that people understand what we're doing.
So that are the only females?
Our initial priority with that building for transitional services is for young females. It doesn't mean that there's not a need for young males as well. I think that there is a long-term opportunity to consider community-based coordinated care for those young boys, as well as thinking about a partnership with another organization that might offer that on the same campus. There's milieu concerns about, think about college, think about these different opportunities where you have vulnerable populations in an environment like that. Together, they can bring certain challenges.
I'm sure with 15 apartments, if you will, they'll need, they can have apartments. How do you prioritize? First come, first served, like that?
There'll be a referral from our real estate agencies, and the idea would be that this is not a forever stay. And so we would hope 18 to 24 months that a young person has a base built that we can help them transition into more of a community.
Oh, 18 to 24 months. I wrote it down 18 to 24 years.
Years, yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
18, 24-year-old populations, like the age of the client that we're serving are 18 to 24. The amount of time that they would live with us is 18 to, how that lines up.
Yeah.
18 to 24 months
Gotcha.
would be our hope, because the idea would be they're going to be moving out of a somewhat artificial environment into more of a community. Glad to clarify that.
I'm excited about this. My best friend grew up there. So I think I even spent a night there, and it's a gloomy place. It
Yeah.
was back 50 years ago, so
You
it's
should come
exciting.
by. You should come by. I think you'll find out that it's certainly renovated. It's been renovated over the years, and it's a much more warm place than it once was in terms of its facilities.
Mhm.
We tried really hard for that.
I'm excited for it.
So feel free to reach out.
Thank
Thank you very much. Good luck to you.
You want me?
Yes, ma'am. You're up. Good evening.
First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody for your past support for the MS Couple. You've always been there for us. We're also all happy, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you first. The reason I'm here is I was wondering if there was some way we could get the electric operated in the park. The 100 amp, 200 amp. If you go down the park, go down the walkway to, we have a fruit stand, that's 100 amp there, and 2 trailers are on that during carnival. And up on the main drag, beside the place your bingo stand is 200 amp. That's, we have a camper and 2 other trailers on that. And for some reason, we have a breaker in your building that keeps blowing. But everybody said about using generators, it's pretty loud. And having self-powered somebody. But I was wondering if you could look into that. I don't know if anybody's gotten the price yet, because I'd said something about it before.
Yeah, in the beginning, Greg thought it might cost over 4,000, but he's talked to Denny, it's what, a couple $1,000?
Yes.
now? And
And I mean, we'd be willing to help pay for it, it's not that. So it's something we can share.
Yeah, any comments?
Just about the trailers, so, I mean, if you unhook the fifth wheel campers, that,
There's
we
only one
feel that would
vehicle.
take a big load off of the breaker.
There's only one fifth wheel that I'm aware of being on.
So do both of them need updated or just the food stamp?
No.
Just the main,
The
one
200
on
amp.
yeah.
handicap one.
So the other buildings, one has.
Up by the community
But I thought
center.
the food truck one.
It's the food truck, the sausage and
Oh,
the.
so the food truck, not where we do the food, not where.
No.
So it's the one.
And they upgraded the pavilion itself.
It's so much juice in that when it does blow, you can't just go with your hand. You gotta take a great big thick wooden block and push it, because if you go with your hand, the possibility you just get fried.
I haven't seen the light of my life.
You wouldn't have a
Sounds like
chance to
that's
stay
a
either.
mistake to begin with, be addressed, for others.
My personal opinion is that this is something that we've done for the community through the ambulance and the fire company for how many years? And It's something that we should be looking to make sure that we have safe for our own park.
Yes, I'm sure the food truck festival now probably.
Right.
They run out of their
Well, they do run some generators, but I mean, I'm willing to say that it's something maybe the park board might even want to get involved with and make a recommendation to maybe upgrade the system.
Do we need to, do you want to bring it up at park board and then? I'm sure we can find that money in our, park.
I mean, we've got.
Budget for maintenance and-
My personal opinion is that it's not just the park, everybody uses it. I can't see why we can't go into like the general fund and get the money for it.
So you're good with us not, I think it's one of our.
Yeah, because, like I said, because everybody uses it, I mean, it's not just park.
I use it 3 weeks ago out here. I have to leave before to set up and everything, and then wake up, and then leave to clean up.
And I'm sure they haven't been updated or upgraded in decades, maybe.
No, we just upgraded that, what, about 6, 8 years ago?
That was before I was here, Howard. I know it wasn't that long.
Greg on?
He is.
Hello, Greg. Hello, Greg.
It's been about 10 years ago when we upgraded that whole system for the carnival when we blew it, Mary Jane. Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
It's been about 10 years. So what's currently down there right now is an 800 amp service. It's a pretty big service.
Is it 800? Is it 800?
It is 800. In the park garage, when you walk in there, them 2 big breakers are 400 amp apiece.
Wow.
What would we have?
So the only thing we could do is upgrade what Mary Jane was talking about from 100 amp to 200 amp between Pavilion 1 and 2. And that could help out a good bit. I mean, you still might have a breaker flip every now and then. To upgrade that whole 800 amp service inside the park garage, you're talking tens of thousands of dollars.
Okay. So we'll fix that overall.
We'll get, hey, Mary Jane, we'll get with Chick Reader and we'll get you a price. What would it cost to upgrade that 100 amp service there between 1 and 2?
These maintenance budget.
Greg, just price.
Will do.
I think it's something we can handle.
Couldn't help with that, That's the court.
Thing where they're trying to help you reduce energy, like, could they do anything about like LED lighting versus all lighting down there, or anything that would help, like,
Well, we just went through that.
Everything in the park is LED.
keep energy also, like.
LEDs.
Yeah, everything.
Yes. We're gonna power those. with-
Call the lighting down.
Yeah. We're gonna get
Until the
some-
wind is there.
How big is that main breaker that keeps tripping?
I'm sorry.
How big is that breaker that keeps
That's
tripping?
an 800 amp service.
That is 800 amps and it's tripping.
I thought you said.
That covers the whole, those parts there. It's gone out on us twice in the last few years.
Yeah, there's two 400
Last year we ran out of gas, electricity went out. at the same time.
Last year was our best carnival ever.
It gives the price and get it back to the council. Do we have a motion to go ahead and do that?
I mean, I would check the price first, and, because this is actually very limited what we use this for, that is going out. So I do feel like if it's over a certain amount of cost, we may need some help, to be honest with you, that's my opinion on that. But I think obviously, we don't want things tripping.
Especially the main breaker.
Yeah, I do think we should get a price.
Because that sounds like it's a weak breaker.
I think we need to put that out there, we just need to check our costs.
There we go.
Get a hold of Jake there, Greg, and get us a price.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Greg.
You're welcome.
We'll be back.
Greg? Yes, we'll be back.
Okay, thank you for your time. Thank you very much. So, good night.
It's all.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You need anything for you?
Does Greg have anything for Public Works or Dave? No? Okay. Pete's not here. Did you hear anything from Pete, Jared on the water?
No, we didn't. Did you today, Drew, by any chance?
I talked to Jesse. It looks like we had divers in on Thursday, professional divers. And they went in and they plugged the drain pipe. So there's a drain pipe that goes in the reservoir, goes out the bottom, goes out to the road.
Right.
The valve's closed. But when they went in, when the diver went in, he cut one of the sand pipes, you just see the sand go right down the hole. In fact, when he took the plug that Greg got it, he held it over the hole, it sucked it right down into the hole. So they got it all in there. And I talked to Jesse this morning and I said, have you noticed the difference? And he said, yes. He says, I don't want to tell everybody everything's 100%. I want to wait a week and make sure everybody was able to turn the spring off.
Oh, good.
And the reservoir still filled.
That's
Well,
good.
remember the last council meeting, there was concern
Right.
about being able to fill the reservoir. So everybody keep their fingers crossed. Do remember, it's temporary. It will work its way out, but we bought ourselves some time.
We bought ourselves a lot more time than last time too, which is not.
Yeah, the little ball that's gonna lose its air.
So it was really a team effort, everything from, Jared getting the financing approved to, Greg getting finding the right plug to, Pete being up there, Jesse was up there. I mean, we had the guys go around and check the rest of the reservoir for any other major leaks. Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if Greg can hear me, but, the only thing we found is the more that they walked around, the more sediment got stirred up, so it was hard to see. So, we wanted to focus on the primary thing, and we're pretty sure that that's it. So we're just gonna keep our Great, keep her fingers
And,
crossed.
and Pete did this morning give us the video.
And the driver's cost is what, a couple of grand over?
$200, I believe, something like that, give or take a couple of dollars, but
Yeah, that's their specialty, that's what they specialize in.
Always works.
it was absolutely worth it, so I'm glad we were on such short notice. to do it again.
They have their number on speed dial just in case.
Hopefully we don't need that. Okay. Since you're there.
I sent out my town planner reports, if anybody had any questions, I'll review them just kind of quickly with you all. Again, it's not my intention to read my reports to you. I'll hit the highlights, if something grabs your attention, please let me know, we'll jump in on it. Planning Commission has a joint meeting scheduled with the Utilities Commission.
Hang on, back up a minute.
Hold the phone.
On your staff report there under planning, I see down there under minor subdivisions, the good old St. Paul Street subdivision, the plat's been recorded. So does that mean the plat's been recorded with the county? Is that what that means?
Means it's been recorded at the courthouse and it's legally now subdivided.
Okay. Now, I thought there was something about they couldn't be recorded until we provided our water and sewer available capacities.
And we did.
Oh, we did. How did we do that?
I did it.
Did you do that?
I did.
Okay. So I guess my next question is, their next, the subdivision people, to me, they've shown no good faith whatsoever. And I'll keep saying that forever. We're gonna have the house ready to sell last spring. Well, that's. So their next step would be to come in the planning commission with the site plan.
They can actually pull a building permit from right where they're at. The problem that they have is they have to extend utilities to two of the lots up a general right of way that goes in between both of them. So there's some stuff they have to do before they start. Yes, do they actually have to file a site plan with the planning commission? No, they don't. But they're gonna have to talk to the town. They've got to buy the taps. They haven't done that yet. And all that's gonna come due to pay when they come to get the taps.
That they would have to bring a site plan back. I thought that's what I understood they finally said.
Not according to the plans I saw.
Does that stuff ever have to come to the Marin Council for approval? I never really got an understanding of that.
Legally, the Barron Council has nothing to do with approving any site plan or subdivision. You're abdicating that authority to your planning commission when you establish a planning commission. You give the planning commission guidelines to follow. Any smart planning commission or smart planner, which I am, I give you and let you know what's happening. That way, if you see something you don't like, you can call one of the planning commission members, discuss it and make your concerns known.
Well, I know this was all before we did it, but I'm quite sure Dave Plumley told all the townspeople that were in here that night that they were only dividing the ground and that they would have to come back before his commission for site plans. I'm quite sure that's what was
So
said.
that's what I had heard, because I know there's a lot of townspeople that are against it. And I thought we would still have a chance to say, no, we don't want this.
Okay.
Now it sounds like you're saying we don't have a choice.
Not once we subdivided lots.
Yeah.
How we gonna happen with that one?
Well, I don't know, but I've
Just been certainly
I've been
down.
opposed to this whole thing.
Okay, let me ask a question. What, because I'm trying to understand where jurisdictions lie. You're unhappy with the subdivision as a subdividing, the fact that they were allowed to subdivide? Or you were unhappy with the process they went through to get the subdivision? I'm just trying to understand.
Well, it's nothing against anyone, but
Right.
there were a lot of townspeople here tonight that live up that way. They were all opposed to it.
Right.
And they were told by the chairman of the planning commission that they take into account what the neighbors have to say before they approve anything.
Okay.
So everyone spoke in opposition to it, and then it was approved anyway. And I've had questions just because I lived up there, of the drainage that comes off that mountain. How are they gonna get utilities up there? What's the town gonna be responsible for? Some of those sorts of things. And I just think it's a shame, frankly, that you have townspeople, lifelong residents, taxpayers, that were in opposition to it, and it just gets kind of rubber stamped and done. And-
I'm totally with Eric on this.
And those developers have shown no good faith to me whatsoever. So that's all I'll say.
There was,
No, I was just trying to figure out where exactly you're talking about, because I know there's a couple different places.
This is above Lincoln Avenue over to the top of St. Paul Street here.
Oh, okay, I was just wondering if we were talking about the place by the post office where it's supposed to go and all that.
No.
That's a totally different.
years ago, we had problems with water runoff.
Pretty beautiful side of the mountain right here.
Yeah.
You do.
Coming right down, and it took us a long time to get the county to take care of it, because it was coming down by where Pete lived.
And that's a big road. You gonna get mad?
And it took a long time, but we finally got the county to do something about it. And I think most of the town people who live up around that area is afraid the same thing's gonna happen again. And it's gonna take a long time to get that straightened out. Is there any way they have to make do to keep that water from running down?
Yes, they did. So they don't have to file a site plan with the town. Because first of all, I just want to be clear about this, I don't want to shock anybody. This is one of the things we're talking about changing. You have no site plan provision in your zoning text. It's called a preliminary plan. There is no site plan. Again, we all call it a site plan. Most people have a site plan. We're going to propose having a site plan, but right now you don't have one. So what they filed was a preliminary plan. They got the approvals from the town via the planning commission, not you. But one of the things they are going to have if they do any work is a grading plan, a sediment erosion control plan. And that does get reviewed by the planning commission also. So they are coming back with something, but not a site plan. In either case, from a legal standpoint, the mayor and council don't have any say over the approvals of those subdivisions. The mayor and council establish the laws and the rules by which you subdivide land. They must follow those. But as far as when they grant it, how they grant it, without specific provisions in the subdivision code, what they followed is correct. I don't like it, that's why I suggested site plan. I also suggested, you will probably remember, water and sewer certification, so you know where the taps are, and that's what we're dealing with right now, and we're getting ready to talk about those. But, I mean, I don't think you like the answer, but that's the answer to the question.
Well, we're not on your case about it, Drew.
No. And I'm not here by any stretch of the imagination to hunt down the guilty parties. I just want to fix it and get it going
I'm not
forward.
trying to blame anybody, but I think those townspeople were misled.
Now that you, and this is why I very much appreciate the history on a lot of these things, because I don't know the history. And now that you've told me that, I will reach out to the chairman, say, what's going on with this? Because if you said that to the people, we're gonna have some sort of a meeting. I don't know if it's gonna be the site plan or whatever, but you better have a meeting. I did not know it.
I don't know that it's misled as much as misunderstood. And I think that's what Drew and I are actually trying to fix right now. Is proceed with our process.
Well, I guess I didn't know, the planning commission can approve this stuff without even asking us if we agree.
But it's within the rules. It's within the rules of what the law says they can do with their land. You can't.
But here's, if you run into issues, and I don't think you all have, but if you run into issues with your planning commission going all wild, doing crazy things, remember, you control purse strings. They can't approve public roads until the town says they're going to accept it. So indirectly, you have say over it. You just don't have say over the plan as a whole, okay? But if somebody proposes a plan that's going to have 1.5 miles of new town roads, the town has to approve that.
And that is a bit of a question out there because, am I right, Lincoln Avenue Extended is county road that they abandoned. It's not even a maintained road, which does give access.
And Grant has stated no more water and sewer hookups into that line. Because
yeah, so there is some issues with.
This thing could be a kettle worm.
Well, and I appreciate you letting me know that, because the first thing I'm gonna talk to David, just saying, hey, I don't know what you told these people, I'm hearing this. If you told these people that, then we need to have a meeting. Whether explaining the plans that were approved or what the process is, you need to have a meeting.
What was said was they divided the ground, that was all that was approved, and they would come back with the site plan.
Well, that is what happened.
Yeah,
The
well,
divided
they did.
ground,
That's
that's
what
the law.
they did.
So I think we had a question.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, sir, so they have to, give you like a grading and thing before they did, because I know for my house, I'm up in the kids' that grading is terrible. No one graded anything in that development.
Well, unfortunately,
Way back then, no.
yeah.
It was not up to where the building was.
First, I'm saying, please make sure you grade.
Yeah, they've gotten way better at that.
Oh, my.
So what about the infrastructure that needs to go in now that they've divided?
Now that they've divided,
Now they have their 5 lots.
they have to install the infrastructure.
Okay, but that onus is on them.
100% on them, not us.
And the access road that's gotta get, I mean, any of that,
But they platted it as a right of way. I mean,
So it's just gonna be like a driveway.
yeah,
it.
common driveway.
Nothing we would have to plow.
Nothing that would, and everything for us is stopping at the road. Our responsibility, sewer and water, and it's on the plans this way. Our responsibility is at the edge of the property. All the stuff that has to run up to feed all the lots, that's all privately owned, privately maintained. Because we don't,
When they
Wanna
have to
have
drag
it
their
do it.
trash cans down the end.
that's their issue because it's a private road. So, thank you for telling me that.
The last thing I'll say, and then I'll shut up about it, is I guess I understand what our role is better and what the planning commission's role is better, but we are the ones to get packed in the grocery store, right?
Yeah.
And
That's correct.
that's.
Which I will only say, I lived in my previous life, very similar situation. And they basically had quarterly meetings to avoid it. That way, the elected officials felt like they were being kept informed. And it's also my job. It really is my job. You should know what the planning commission is doing. If you don't know what the planning commission is doing, then I'm not doing my job presenting something to you. Because it's my job and it's my intent, anytime the site plan, final plat comes to us, you're gonna see it on my report. It's gonna be attached electronically. If you have a comment about it, you make a formal comment, I'll take it back to the planning commission. So that's, I think, how we address it in the future. But I think from what you're telling me, there's just kind of this little bit of disconnect, where you all never met with them directly, they never met with you, and the planner wasn't playing that role between the two, for whatever reason. And it's not a fun role to play. I mean, sometimes you guys get mad at each other. Now, every once in a while. Every once in a while. I'm gonna smooth it over to them, and then they come back, and they're gonna smooth it over back to you guys. And this is the glue that keeps everything working nicely together. But yes,
It's nice to know that they have to take care of that stormwater too.
they must, they have to file, they actually have to file plans, set it in erosion complaints because of the steep slopes that are up there. The county is not gonna let them do anything until they secure that area. Neither are we. Thank you, sir. So, planning, we have a meeting with the utilities commission on next Wednesday. If you're talking about the cloud plan, feel free to join us, but you're gonna be asked to meeting directly with the planning commission anyway. We're working something with the EDC, I think we're waiting for you guys to let us know when you want to be talk about it. Yeah. Preserve and Podcast Bonding Company, there's attorneys, insurance, it's moving forward. We haven't left the pedal, we haven't stopped, it's going through the process. So we're gonna keep pushing. The post office had its inspector go through Thursday and Friday. So apparently they're gonna be moving in after the first of the week. Don't know if that's when we start, so when the post office moves, I'm sure there'll be a big notice process and all those kind of things, but it did go forward. Fletcher's Grove State Highway has approved the realignment for the realignment there. So they're getting ready to submit the full construction plans. The town will be moving forward with surveys for the parcel swaps. Let's remember that at the road area, the developer's paying for everything in the road, everything on his side, but everything on the Board of Ed side, the town's paying. So the first thing we need to do to really get this process rolling is, there was the agreement that had the little parcels that were all gonna jump around, you know, McAfee was gonna give this to the Board of Ed, the Board of Ed was gonna give to the county, you know the drill. We actually gotta get surveyed. Now that we know where the alignment's gonna be, we're gonna have surveyors going out there, getting that information. We've had a meeting with Mr. McElwee. He's come in, very, super nice guy. And we want to keep Mr. McElwee happy because he's gonna help us solve a lot of traffic problems in this town. So we have architects that are gonna be, I have architects going to be going out there, taking measurements of the house, all the square footage, because his understanding is it's square footage for square footage. And so I'm going to have a licensed architect tell me what the square footage of the house is. And we're going to do some general layout just so that we can always say, what are we going from, where are we going to? So we're continuing those meetings. Town has meetings, we already talked about that, talked about the swap. And that's it on the planning side. Zoning side, you can see in there, Mount Nebo Church variance was approved, but they did it with a conditional minimum lot size of 5,000 square feet. Zoning violations and complaints, zoning certificate applications, and the county sending us now their permits that they issue within the town. So you get both zoning certificates we issue and permits. They may not be in the same month. Someone can get a zoning certificate, sit on it for 3 weeks, and then decide to get a permit. That's sometimes how it happens, but that's the thing. Any questions?
We're very happy for getting the report.
Yes.
Very nice.
Communication is key.
Oh, what about the bonding thing around the Fox gap? I think we had an email back and forth about we didn't want the owners to do their own work.
Yeah, I can update you on that. There'll be something in my update, but I'll just put it out. So, yes, the email that I sent out last week was the latest that I had from Ann and their attorney, who's now who we're working with. They switched over from working directly with them to an attorney, which will just drag everything on even more, as I'm sure you can know. What I gave you guys in the email is basically what I told Ann. It was, obviously, none of us want to move forward with just giving the Easter days. That's obviously the first thing we told her. To my knowledge, and I asked her this directly, and I asked her to give it to me in writing from them, stating that they, through their process, they would not give the money, the town the money to the project. That was what I was told verbally. That they would not do it that way. So it's either doing it through a process to give it to the Easter days to contract out, or to have the bonding company do it. Which obviously sounds great, right? Let's just have the bonding company do it. However, that's going to put another probably 8 to 12 months to the whole project. And so I asked Ann these things. I kind of wrote out a list of stipulations that now require in moving forward in any manner, as well as kind of our concerns, and asked her to set up a meeting with their attorney. I believe she has talked with him specifically, just her and him, but she has not provided. I'm supposed to get one this week, but she didn't get that. That's kind of where we're at. I don't have a full answer for you other than I did relay council's concerns.
So if we don't want to give the money to, if we don't want to give the money to somebody else, they won't let us give the money to somebody else to do it, but they'll let us give it to the Easter days. We said it would take 8 to 12 months or something, but the Easter days aren't going to take 8 to 12 months.
Well,
You know, just have somebody get some writing.
one of the stipulations I gave Ann to give to their attorney was a timeline. I gave them a timeline.
Okay.
Well, if it happens this way, this would have a hard date of this would have to happen. These things would have to happen by this date, or we're back to square one.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so as part of that stipulated list that I gave them were hard dates.
And that, plus we have somebody out there to supervise them.
So my question would be, the bonding company pays the developer to do the work in 6 to 8 months, where the developer hasn't done the work. Is the bonding company still on the hook to
Oh, yeah.
ensure that it's completed right?
Yeah.
Because
So the bonding
if they're
company
the
will
ones
develop
responsible
our-
They're on the hook.
because that's what the bonding is for, to ensure this work will get completed,
That's correct.
and that's where we're at.
But trust me, it's not,
Yeah.
so just as an update, after everyone's emails back to me, I did reach back out to him again with these concerns once again. But it was a little more stringent on my concerns to her. So She's gonna relay that to their attorney, and I'm hoping to hear something back this week. So I don't have a full update on that, but my update is that I took you guys' concerns into consideration and sent that to them.
But if they give the money to the Easter days, somebody's gonna be over.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
I gave him quite a few stipulations as far as that was concerned. But oversight was definitely one of them. Allow us that.
I know. You're doing all the
Well, the other, I will say another stipulation that I talked to Andy about was, not making sure that the Easter days weren't making additional money off of doing the work again. They should have already made their money to do it, so that was also a stipulation, make sure that they are doing it at a price that is only for their services and the material that they have to purchase, so that was also part of the stipulation.
Yeah, all right. Now I'm getting it. In other words, they can't hire the one individual to go out there and do all the work and then pocket the rest of the money.
Right.
Okay, I get it. Thank you. Got one poor soul out there doing all the work.
What do you think about as far as why this process takes long? I know you don't hear it, but this had to be more than 6 months ago that we approved to pull on their bonds.
Right.
It was more like 8 months ago.
Yeah, I
don't
think just,
understand why it takes so long.
well, it was, the turnover here, a lot of things have not happened in the years, so, a lot of it just has to do with turnover, or kind of getting our feet wet with things.
Well, I'm not blaming you.
Yeah, but once you guys gave me the green light, I jumped right on that, so. We are really moving in a positive, whether or not it seems like it, we are really moving in a positive direction with that project. Definitely much more. Well, that, and just, they feel the heat, I can tell you that, I think that's pretty obvious. They feel the heat to get the project done. It's just a matter of how we proceed. Oh, I will. Sorry, Drew, that was.
No, you're good. Go ahead. You done? Anybody have any other questions?
I have a question. So the proposed new fee, they go to the planning commission.
They're coming to you first.
Okay, so
They're further in the agenda, but they're coming to you first.
okay, I didn't,
You set these, not the planning.
okay, I didn't know if they weighed in on it and suggested, and then it came to us, coming straight out.
They make the suggestions and we have to
Either
Yeah.
approve or not. That's
I just didn't know if they were through their process.
You done, sir? Thank you very much. Good job. You didn't hear me.
He's ignoring you.
He's a good thought. Hey, Drew.
I got our superintendent's technique, so I'm just making sure I'm not saying something I'm not supposed to say, or something I was supposed to say and didn't say.
Anything they want, they need to update?
He's good. Well, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good job. Jared? Sure.
Well, you skipped over Public Works.
I don't say he doesn't have anything.
He didn't have anything. Yeah, I don't know, where I looked at it, we said, don't have it.
Everything's good.
By the way, I'd like to thank Public Works, did a very good job on all the Christmas decorations. Did a great job, lighting of the Christmas tree, even though we did it in the rain and a little bit on the front.
Thank you, and I'll pass it along.
Good job.
Sandy closes, please.
Thank you. Good, Jared.
All right. So a couple things were mentioned by the room. I'll just kind of make sure nobody has any questions. Yeah, the dive was successful at the reservoir. Like Drew was saying, we don't have an update from Pete yet, but I'm guessing maybe he need more days to really figure out how much is going up and how much we're saving on our loss.
And he told me probably by Wednesday or Thursday, he could get it accurate.
I'll send that information. out
That's
to
good.
everybody.
That's good.
Yeah.
You said that for a week, you would know.
For a whole week, yeah.
But it seems like Drew was saying, like we see in the video, that when you see it, that the way that plug got sucked down into there, it's clear that That's what I wanted to. So that'll be a good Band-Aid for us as we move forward with the project itself. Just one other update on that. I will have, as I stated in the last meeting, a list of our available funding options in our January council meeting to proceed with the rest of the project. Our goal is to be ready to bid this project out in spring 2020. That's our goal. Between myself and the funding and Drew with some of the permitting, we have a lot to do between now and then. Things need to go right for us, but that goal, and that is our goal. We will continue to work with the state and federal government as we have been doing, pursuing funding, grant funding or legislative funding. We have a lot to do in January, as the mayor knows. We'll be shaking a lot of hands. Next couple of months to try to get some money for us. I believe I put this in my update. If not, I'll update you now. I was able to, this was already approved. I'm sure maybe some of you already knew we had. I did not realize we had also $1 million from the PA for the reservoir that we can add to it. So that was happy news for me when I found that. I was unaware that we had that funding. So that was, we're able to add another $1 million. So we, all in all, are about halfway. Now, we are trying to get an updated cost estimate right now, so I'm not sure really what the final cost will be from WRA for this project. The last cost estimate we got, we were about half. So we will pursue private funding through some of our local banks, and that's what I'll go with in January to finance that remainder until we can either get additional grant funding or state loans with better rates to fill that gap. Any questions on that?
Well, the risk of asking a stupid question, over a year ago, several of us went to Richmond to see their product and everything, and we had pretty much decided that that's what we wanted to go with, what they call a post-tension structure, right? So are we going to be able to sole source that, or how does this work in a municipality? I know how it works in the federal government, but I don't know how we do it here.
Is this the tank?
Yeah, the tank.
So there are ways, if it truly is a sole source, there are ways that you don't have to bid it out. If that truly is the case.
I'm not sure who else can do that technology. Colin, you know,
I mean, in this particular region, they're the predominant ones. There's other options. There's pre-tension, post-tension. Frederick County Water and Sewer has a lot of the pre-tension, and the decision was to go against those. So the way it turns out is that Dutchland is pretty much going to be sole source for that particular part of it. They might not be, they don't run the whole project. That's not their thing. They just stick to making the tank. And then there's a general contractor that'll handle the rest of it. But yes.
Yeah, so we would still bid the general contract, obviously. And then if through that, there's really only one major place to get it, then we would work through the general contract.
And then in the bidding process, you can explicitly state, I mean, you might not be able to throw in the name Dutchland, but the exact verbiage that Dutchland does, and it.
Well, it's also, we have federal funding involved in some of this. So they're gonna, it's Build America, Buy America policy.
yeah, well, again, I knew you weren't here and I knew Drew wasn't here, but I think Tony would agree that the BMUC, we kind of let them, they were kind of led in that direction. That's what it was going to be.
Right, so what they usually do is they'll put in the specifications, they'll say Dutchland tanks, pre-stress or equal. If you can prove that another tank that they want to provide meets the same standards, load bearings, all the other issues.
Just like the feds.
Right. Well, and I will say our bidding process for this project, especially with you, very stringent. We'll have WRA will help us in reviewing the bids to make sure that all the line items that they're bidding on, all the materials is.
Well, that's cool. Just wanted to throw that out there. Didn't want to take much.
Oh, still me, right? Okay. The Schaefer Park well, Just a quick update on that. I'll kind of let next meeting, Pete kind of go with that, but the yield test was finished, completed on it. Went very well from my understanding. This well can produce a lot of water. And the same day, Pete was able to get samples sent to Frederick County, which is where we sent it to test the water. So we have not gotten all those tests back yet, but that we have gotten them all been good. So we're pretty excited about that, because plug the reservoir and get the new well online, we're looking much better than the first.
And whatever part they were waiting on.
It's already been installed, yes. I told you about, I'll have a list of funding options in January for the reservoir. The one other thing I did want to remind you that I do want to go over in January's council meeting is the information I gave you, I believe it was last month's meeting, for the 3+1 company for our investments. I would like to review that in January. Hopefully, obviously, this will give you guys plenty of time to review the information and send me any questions you might have. But I do plan on putting that on January's agenda, just as a reminder.
And by the way, on the rail part, we were getting a lot of water before we developed the major leak of the reservoir. To any thought that you in your minds come across that water is coming into that well, that they just drilled this, what we was losing from the reservoir is not so. And a couple of people have made that comment to me. Well, maybe that's all where all the water's going to down there.
There's a lot of water.
That well was producing that water before this leak started.
And then just lastly, Drew already went over most of this, so I'm not going to go over it much, but just we are proceeding really well now with the Chase 6 project. We've had a few meetings with the developer now. He seems to be very happy with our process. SHA has finally approved the plans, which was taking a while. Drew's working with the homeowner to get that finished. Having good conversations with the school board, so things are moving very well with that. We should, I don't have a timeline yet. I know everybody wants one, but we are proceeding very well on that. So if you have any questions, please reach out. Any questions on that, or any of the things I had in my last email?
And by the way, I noticed it's early, but mark your calendar, June the 13th. It's a Tuesday evening. The county commissioners will meet with us that night here. Now, that's tentative. That could change, but that's the date we're putting on the books for now. Right, Kim?
He said Tuesday.
And the Tuesday night
It's a night right after our mayor and council meeting.
must be the 11th. 13th.
Yeah, it would be the 11th.
Yeah, it's the 11th. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Thank you for catching me. Again, that's tentative. And I think he said, what, 6:30, Kim?
Yes,
You're here.
yes.
It's our annual yearly meeting that we have with commissioners and their staff. That was the, we had it this year, Jared's second day of the closing. Anybody have any other questions of Jared? Hearing none. Chief?
All right. Myself and the staff want to thank everybody for the Christmas present bonus we got. We appreciate it. For passing that along. For the month of November, we had 82 calls for service, 192 traffic stops, and a traffic arrest for the DWI. I attended the mayor and council meeting, and then during this month, we performed special traffic assignments where people complaining, like up on Maple Avenue, the stop sign down here at Monument and Young. I don't know if anybody knows how we had the speed trailer setting up there at the back of the church. People come in, the kids must have moved your trailer around this, that, and the other. We've had that way for a reason. We was counting cars, how many cars was going that way. Well, some people did. Anyway, the Maple Avenue, we spent 29 hours up there. We made 60 traffic stops. The Monument and Young Avenue, we spent 10 hours there. We made 12 traffic stops. And the 2-week period, that trailer sat there, not a single vehicle went the wrong way, that out. So, yeah, so that's what we've been doing with these complaints of people. I know you all been told or complained about it, but we are doing something.
And we appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I don't know if it's doing any good, but we are trying.
Well, it must
We
be.
can't feed everybody what we're trying.
Right.
So are you gonna leave the trailer there?
No, we just put it there just to do a count. And
Okay.
after 2 weeks, we brought it back down, we'll charge it up. I just take it someplace else if I is complaining, but I've been moving those speed signs around in different places. And I got a few more brackets I can put in different places. If someone complains, but it's, I mean.
I do think it helps.
Yeah,
It
honestly,
just
always,
needed just-
people slow down when they see that. We just told them there for the police department. And I said up past Chestnut Avenue, of course, that's a bad intersection for speeders where they're coming up through there. And you can see when they come off the hill and they flash up, they hit the brakes, they're not even questioning it. So.
I can't remember who told me this, but they said every day, somebody drives on Potomac Street, right up the alley, the long way, Rears Alley, every day. Told us at any time. It's the same person.
It's probably the same person that drives through here.
Probably. Well, I mean, it could be, but I said, I wish that some of these homeowners, I mean, I know it's.
I was told the school bus was going up the wrong way, unloading kids and now up there.
I was told they tried to go up the wrong
I
way
said,
one
that's,
day.
I've seen them unload the kids in front of the church. And I can't be a school bus dispatcher, is not telling a school bus to go the wrong way up that alley. I mean, it ain't happening, but anyway, that trailer includes it, sat there for 2 weeks, never got a single vehicle on it. And that's 24/7, that's not just during the daytime.
Maybe they're just going the wrong way from Potomac to the start.
Well,
I've seen it.
I ain't worried with
Did
it.
they catch that?
Well, no, because I didn't want, I ain't want to go and pick it up until it got to cemetery. Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Oh,
Frustrating.
again, we get complaints all the time. I mean, we made 192 traffic stops.
You did a pretty good job.
We're staying busy.
You know,
So I want to let you all know, we received one bid for the 2014 Tahoe.
Oh, okay.
Say what?
We received one bid for the 2014 Tahoe
Oh, really? And it's going.
for $250.
Okay.
So,
Come get it.
yep, it's paid for.
I heard that at Christmas party.
Any questions of Kevin? Hearing none. Anybody having mayor and council correspondence? I'd like to thank everyone again for the nice old time Christmas. I noticed on Saturday, coming through town, downtown was busy on Saturday, so the stores must have been pretty good. People were carrying shopping bags around, so they looked like they were supporting their businesses. MML made a visit to us a couple weeks ago. They were very, very pleased with what they saw in town on that Monday. They came down and visited. And they also supported their businesses too. The two businesses they went in, they came out with purchases. So, and they all said they'd be back. So that's all I have. Anybody else have anything?
We had big ribbon cutting.
Oh, yeah, Ace ribbon cutting. They said yesterday, Santa Claus was there. He was only supposed to be there for 2 hours and then ended up being there for 4 hours because the line was so long.
Who?
Santa Claus.
You can't figure that thing.
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus is everywhere. Yeah, I got a West Virginia slang. So.
That's a really first line.
Yeah, okay. Combinations of both. Moving on. Anybody else have any under new business? We have the reservoir replacement project change order. Control house valve room.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's pull the Uber.
Being a change order, you have the information before you. This is from your engineer WRA. And the cost is associated with the valve vault box. So at the 30% preliminary design, you have the ductile tank, it's 2 cells. That's the big oval you see on top, looks like in NASCAR Speedway. And then there was supposed to be a valve vault. And that's the piping, the valve, so that you can drain one side of the tank, put the other one in operation. That was at 30%. Fast forward to 95%, MDE gets a hold of it, different requirements come out, online analyzers, 12-inch water line, altitude valves, check valves, and gate valves, and all of a sudden, this little teeny tiny area that's going to be a valve box. You've got online analyzers on the wall, you've got 4 of them. You know what the online analyzers are? Okay, so if you don't have something to track your levels of chlorine in your system 24/7, you have to have 3 shifts. You have to have people that come in and work 3 shifts and are testing it to make sure that the chlorine's there. The way you get around that is you install what's called an analyzer. So this analyzer does exactly what it says. It takes a little feed of your water, runs it up through these electrodes with gold and silver and a little, buffer solution, and it determines what your chlorine is. Okay, so you know what your chlorine is all the time. You don't have to have 3 shifts. Well, to do that, you have to have an analyzer. To have an analyzer, you have to have a tap into the water line, which all of that wasn't planned in the very early part. So the $66,000 you see is to go from this, in its rudimentary design in the early phases, to now this, the finished product, where you can see the analyzers are on the wall. Again, this isn't a room, nobody works there. This is a big 12-inch water line that's going to be supported on the floor with these big gate valves and things like that. Doing that in a confined space, it just wasn't going to work. So that was something that was changed, and this takes care of that. So I just want to, I'll always try to explain change orders and what they're about and what they matter. This one does matter. This is how you're going to control the flow in and out of your ductile tank. So remember, you get the ductile tank so that you can take one cell out of service, you clean it, fix it, do whatever you need to do. You go back to the other cell, you can do that one too, so you can go back and forth. But again, for that all to work, you gotta have a valve. And then if you don't want to have 3 shifts, you've got to have the online analyzer. Because remember, that's finished water. And MDE came back and said, hey, you're going to keep finished water up there, it's just going to sit there. You got to analyze that water. We want to make sure the chlorine content stays up to where it needs to be. So that when
they
they go,
care about the water up to the reservoir, they just don't give a shit about it up the end of the 40.
okay, that's correct.
I got you.
That's correct. One they
All
have,
good.
we're on the hook with them for a permit on one. The other one, they don't have a permit, so they don't have one.
But they forced us to do that.
But since, is it going to be, the analyzer going to be what, about 3-inch line, small line?
Usually what they'll do is we've done it before, we'll usually line them up on a wall and we'll run like a 3/4 inch over and then tap onto it and whatever the hot machine needs or whatever we're using, But it's usually, yes, it's like a 1/4 inch line. It's not very much, it's relatively slow rate, but this analyzer is analyzing it 24/7 and looking at it. The way it works is if the chlorine gets too high or gets too low, it sends out an alarm. Pete gets the call, Jesse gets the call, out they run, what's going on, they figure it out.
You said it's a $66,000 change order.
Yeah, because as soon as you came up out of the ground, you now have architectural, you now have all the other things. Now, again, it's not an office, there's not a bathroom, no one works in there, this is not a working area, this is a place where you go in. And then that's why we don't get into all the life safety issues and all those other issues.
But with the above ground, they're gonna be able to stand up and work.
Right.
Down in the underground, there's gonna be steep down.
Exactly, and if we have to go in and replace a valve or replace a section of pipe, you gotta have the room to work. You can't be down like this or have to take the lid off and dig down and all those kind of things.
Can't you imagine somebody like Curtis trying to get down in there?
It's a good idea.
It's a good idea, I'm sure everybody's in favor of it, it's salty price, sorry. But all I can tell you is, when it comes to the reservoir, start getting used to it. 'Cause it's gonna-
In the scheme of things, it's not bad.
So Tony mentioned 66K, I heard you say that. Utilities Commission will get informed of this in their next meeting.
Correct.
And then number 3, we had agreement among this group to fund all reservoir design costs from WRA through ARP money.
Yes.
Do we still all agree with that and including this change order? Make sure Brian gets that.
Do we need to vote?
You will need to vote on the change order itself, whether to approve it or not to approve it. Recommendation from staff.
Do we have to wait for the VMUC to approve it?
No. Because you all approve expenses. BWC only makes recommendations.
Yes. So do I have a motion to
Try to go
accept
ahead and get
change?
it done, otherwise we're waiting for another month.
I'll make that motion. Tony and I'll make a second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second by Tony and Eric. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstain, motion carries. Okay, thank you. Draft zoning administrative fees.
Okay, so in your packets, I printed out some 11 by 17 nice big pieces of paper with big print for all of us with older eyes that really appreciate that. So we all have that. So what I have is on the one side are all the zoning fees that were approved by the council for an increase back in July when you approved the budget. Okay, everybody with me? Okay, so let's start up at the top. And behind you, for those of the audience, I have it. We have lots of breakdowns of lots of different things, okay? So I'm just gonna go through these and I'll explain why and the reasons why. This is the discussion part. Everything's up for debate. There are no bad questions, there are no wrong answers. I don't get offended, it doesn't bother me. But this is what I found when I went through. So you have your subdivision review fees. That is when the developers come in and drop in a concept plan or a preliminary plan. You notice in the third blocks down there, it says site plan, it's got strike-throughs all through.
Yeah.
Well, right now it has strike-throughs all through, actually technically don't have a site plan process, it's a preliminary plan. So I wiped those out. Let's talk about the concept plan, let's talk about the minor lot subdivision or whatever. How did I come up with those fees? Where did they come from? My hourly rate is about $38 an hour. So let's use 40 or 50, labor burden, et cetera, right? Because the idea behind your zoning fees and the fees that you charge is any development, whether that's a new big subdivision or you want to put a deck on, that's development. That's supposed to be paid for by the developer, homeowner in this particular case for most of these, but so that it doesn't add town staff time. That's the idea behind it, right? So when we talk about a concept plan or something like that, I figure probably 2 or 3 hours to look at it. $50 an hour, 3 hours, where I'm kind of coming up with these. This is based on 3 months of having different plans that have come through. Obviously, I had not had all these sets of plans come through. One multi-lot preliminary final plat. You notice that one's a little higher, that's $500. The final plats are always going to be more expensive because I have to verify that every easement of every utility that crosses somebody's lot is shown on a final plat because the deed's going to have to be written. That takes some time to look through those. That's why that's more expensive. That does take a good day, day and a half, because you've got to think of Sycamore Run, all the water, sewer lines and storm drain running everywhere, and then going on a final plat and making damn sure if it crosses anybody's private property, you've got an easement. So those do take a little bit of time. Site plan, I striked out. The other one down here, when we get into zoning ordinance and amendments, you can see a lot of these different fees in your previous schedule are a base fee plus $22 per acre or $3 per lot. It makes the calculation a nightmare for staff. And let's be clear about what we review when it comes to a lot of those things is we have advertising costs. If it goes to a public hearing, there is probably going to be at least 2 or 3 meetings or something along those lines. So you're probably talking a good 20 or 30 hours of work in some of these bigger ones. That's why you're looking at 2,000. Usually zoning amendments, zoning text amendments, those kind of things, they take a while because they got to go from a planning commission to the board, hearing, back and forth. Attorneys start reviewing things so you can see that there's some cost involved in that. That's why it's 2,000. Nobody typically comes in and pays for that unless you're a commercial development or something else. Board of Zoning Appeals, $300, that's about right. That's about the time it takes, advertising. One of the things I try to do, and this is in talking with both Brian and Yvette, making it simple for them when someone comes in to pay the fee. It needs to be something simple, that's reasonable, and can be explained very easily to a resident. You'll see a lot of the fees at the rest of the page, I just struck them all out. The reason I struck them all out, those are all county fees. We don't review the architectural plans. The only thing we do from a building standpoint is we issue a zoning certificate. We say the building footprint that they're working in is legal and the use is legal. After that, the electrical, the plumbing, the building, that's all handled by the county. These fees are all associated with county. We don't have anything to do with it. We don't do a single thing. I mean, you approved it as a fee to charge them. I mean, I get that. But we don't do anything for that fee. Why would we charge them? I mean, that's my thought. But again, this is open for discussion. This is not my way of doing it. I'm just trying to make it simple, easy to track, and a reasonable fee so that people pay. If you make a reasonable fee and you can explain the fee to people, the judge will pay. If I can't explain it, like if somebody comes in to me and says, why do I have to pay an additional $38.50 per acre? Why? Well, the idea behind the county is because they're reviewing it for that stuff when it comes to those issues, and they need time. We're not. You can do that. So this is my sort of layout, and I'm looking for feedback. Again, unless there's some sort of an emergency, it's never my intent to give you something to look at that is not a draft that you have time to look at, discuss before it comes back again. So my question to you all, and not for an answer specifically from anyone that night, unless you have a specific question, is what are your thoughts? What would you like added, taken away? What would you like explanations on? What do you agree or disagree with?
Well, this might be this is probably a stupid question, but the 2022 fees, is this what we're charging now? This
Yep.
stuff?
Yep.
And this is what you want to change it to?
Yep.
So they're going down. It looks like most of the stuff is going
Yep.
down.
Absolutely.
Do we depend on some of this?
Well, okay, I'll say it's going down, but a lot of this we don't see anyway, right? So we haven't,
If you don't have development, you don't get anything.
right. Either we haven't been collecting it even, or not collecting it correctly, because of how confusing it is, or just there hasn't been development even to collect it. So, no, to be honest with you, if we do this right, and actually people, we know how to collect it, we'll probably see an increase in our revenue, even though the numbers are going down.
I think it's a good idea.
I like
It's very, very simple.
What we're trying to do, and what Drew and I have been working together in many of these processes, is try to simplify things. Not simplify it just for the sake of making it easy, but simplify it so the boards and the commissions and all of us know exactly, can reference something and know exactly how to use that.
So that everything's the same across the board. You can find it easily. There's nothing confusing anymore.
I do have two questions.
Go for it.
Okay, so I do see where we're striking out less advertising expenses. So like if you did
On a lot of them, yes.
zoning ordinance amendment, are we required to have public hearings for that and
Yes.
advertise? Because that does cost a good bit in the Herald Mail, doesn't it? I mean, is the 2,000 gonna cover that or?
It absolutely covers the advertising
And,
costs.
but.
But with our time too, yeah.
Yeah.
And, that's been a tough one,
Yeah.
all of us had very low advertising budgets when the Valley Citizen existed. And then, of course, it disappeared and now we're paying the full freight either at, Frederick News Post or Herald Mail or both, so you've got to pay the freight. That's up for discussion. The only reason I threw it in there was to see if anyone first of all would catch it. And you did. And the second reason is to ask the very question.
Yeah.
Because their fees change all the time, it's so hard to say, do we say at prevailing rates? And we send them a bill after the fact. Sometimes it's a lot easier to get all that money up front from everybody. So maybe we just adjusted ourselves internally. I don't know. It's a good question. It's a great question. Question is, it's really easy to collect that fee up front when they want you to look at everything. But if you do it at prevailing rates, you're not billing them until after the fact. What if you voted the thing down? Did you pay the bill? Right.
Correct.
I mean, that's kind of,
Right, that's-
so do we
yeah.
anticipate including it in the fee?
Um,
It's an absolutely disgusting.
Well, you could always collect, and collect $500 or $800 to cover advertising, you could get a refund. If it costs less. It always costs. I think I like not
I like your fee structure, but I don't really think I'm on board with wanting to use advertising costs of the Herald.
Yeah, so we can take all the ones that related to advertising.
About that a little bit, yeah. And then the other question I had is, I know at some point we had driveway entrance.
Yvette jumped me about that too.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I said,
Did I miss that on?
No,
here?
you didn't
Was that
miss
some
anything.
Stupid thing
no,
or?
you didn't miss,
not?
you are right on it. There's entrance permit. I can't find anywhere where there was a fee that was ever approved for an entrance permit, or what the purpose of an entrance permit was.
Yeah, I get this driveway's on the sandwich road, and we even have in our budget, or in our book, like driveway bond payable that's been there like, since, I don't know.
You talking about like an apron?
I don't know, right? But we actually have in our current liabilities on our balance sheet, 3,200 in driveway bonds payable. It has been there since I've been looking at balance.
I don't know what they are.
I have no clue what it is. I don't know if that has any relation to these, but
Well, Mary Lee,
Good
it's
question.
talking about the same thing, which I'm not sure we are. When I built my new building, I had to pay $50.
right, to
put
get
in
it,
a driveway.
to put in a driveway to the street, which is what I always thought the dude on the corner of Lincoln Avenue who parked his motorhome and always put, don't park there, needed to pay $50 to actually have a driveway entrance there. So
Well, here's what it could
They
be. Here's what it could be,
Okay.
is if it's part of a public sidewalk, it is the homeowner's responsibility still to put their driveway apron in, but if that is now a public sidewalk.
Okay.
I have run into something similar to this in another town I worked with, to where someone sold a piece of property and actually had to pay up front to put the driveway apron in. The town held that money. Until
Usually
they knew.
$1,500 bond, the county charges.
Yeah, exactly. And I have a feeling it had something to do with that. We'll have to look into exactly what the.
My question is, does anybody know why would we want to collect a fee for that? What is it we're doing to collect a fee? I'm trying to understand. Is it the
I
tie?
don't know, I guess it's
Is it
just to
the
make
tie
sure
into the
nobody puts
roadway?
one.
Yeah, because Greg had to come approve mine.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
I
they
guess
probably
to
have to
make
do the
sure-
inspection.
It's done, right. I totally get
From
it.
an intersection or you're not chopping the sidewalk.
Right, you're tying into the town road right
right
away system, we want to make sure you're doing it appropriately. I have no problem with that, but I want to ask what the questions are. And so-
Yeah, and again, I don't even know if we're actually collecting, doing them with all these things going in. I just know it's.
This is what I want to hear. This is what I want to hear. So, because Yvette asked me about container fees, storage containers.
Right.
And I said, let me dig through the storage, I haven't done through storage containers files yet, but let me dig through it and see what is required. Is there a requirement in our code that requires them to actually have a permit?
Yeah, I mean,
$50, I think.
who passed that on?
Shortened
Got
period,
beer
generally
there.
rather than have them.
And exactly the ones that you're saying are the same ones that Brian and Yvette were saying to me today. But again, this is why I bring it up. You all have been here, I have not, and I want to make sure I'm not missing something that's important. So we got the entrance permit.
I think we should add the driveway entrance back. I mean, I think because we're gonna have to inspect that. I don't think we should just overlook it.
Right, because inspections involved.
1 hour worth of Greg's time or something.
Then I do think the technology fee was the portion of, because at least now, this is how I was thinking it worked. I thought when they got all the permits, they kind of like wrote a check to us, but then we like kind of wrote to the county. Or they write the check straight to the county and then the county would send us back. Because I know at one point in time, it was all gonna go to the county and then they were gonna give a little bit back. But that like $15 technology fee was kind of
Yeah, we.
ours to keep for kind of the paperwork headache.
Us, and I think it's Clear Spring do it back.
Okay.
The only ones that do it back. So the county, we collect all the fees
Yeah.
and give it to the county.
Yeah.
One of the things we're talking about changing is that we're gonna collect our fee first. County, you collect your fee
Okay.
from them. So there's not this money changing hands at the end of
Well,
every
if we're
month.
not gonna be doing that money changing hand thing, I'm fine with kind of getting rid of the $15. But if we have to do that, that
No,
was.
we need to get rid of it.
That was
Eric
kind
came
of
to me
part of our
with a
status
$15
quo, you know what I
technology
mean?
charge. I was like, I have no idea. I still haven't been able to find what it's for.
Yeah. it was
This is technology, man.
It was kind of like just a minimal fee to be like, oh, I'm looking up something on my computer.
Yeah, it was kind of.
It was
like
your
it
time and
comes
service,
our staff
basically.
time to have to
But that's what we want
handle
to
it,
take
collect
It's
it, put
really
it
not
in,
a
you know,
technology
in
fee.
No.
So,
It's
yeah,
a person typing something into the computer.
yeah, well, I
Calling
guess
it
technology
technology.
fee is what someone.
Well,
came up
exactly,
with
but I mean, you can
to
still
do
add that fee into there just without calling it a separate
Gotcha.
line item of technology fee, and that's how we're trying to simplify.
And that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what I plan to do is next month, I'll take the comments that I've received tonight. If you have additional ones, please let me know. Please let me know things.
Under that heading, I would propose, with a nod from Tony as the chair of liaison to utilities, under tap fees, connection fees, benefit charge, user fee per EDU for water. That's a whole lot of damn words.
It is, and I will tell you what Bob Sweet told me, because I met him.
Well, I'll just ask you to maybe review that with the utilities committee, as well as the prices, just for the heck of it. But
Okay, because we did like.
Yeah, you did all this.
Connection fee was kind of.
Yes, you did a whole study, Triad did it
Yeah.
for you. I have all of that.
That was kind of to help us pay for that study, wasn't that part of how it was given it with the
So we've
increase?
had this discussion about terminology, and if I read that big wad of words there, I'm like, what the heck is all that?
Okay.
You haven't seen that yet.
But I don't want to go down
Oh, no.
in cost and we wiped out 2,000.
Well, what I'm suggesting that we do is that if you want to keep those fees in there,
Just bundle.
just make it $10,550.
Right.
Make it $15,500 and be done. Because it is a connection fee, that's how it was supposed to be set up.
Okay, but I guess then the question would become, didn't we start where you could pay to reserve your
I have that
ADU
written down,
and
yes.
maybe not get connected?
That's not on the
Which is
list.
kind of what happened with my parents' lot.
Yeah, we had.
You know what I mean? Like, they kind of paid for,
Push
you know,
this
the
back.
ability to have water connected back in 1960 and then
Remember that column?
connected till
We had
2000.
This
They need the tap
reservation
to
fee.
connect to it.
That's not even on
The
the
house
house.
many years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, so do we shoot ourselves in the foot if we do it?
I think we let the utilities commission.
There'll be some conversation. Let's go down.
I understand where you're going.
So.
I'm just trying to make it so that when I explain to somebody, because let's,
I get that.
because when you think of connection fee for water, it was with the understanding that was a placeholder for the water meter fee. But you also have a connection fee for sewer, there's no sewer meter. The logic doesn't follow. I just want to make, if you want to say the total fee is 10 whatever,
Right.
just say 10 whatever.
Back to utilities, let them think about it.
And let them make a recommendation. back
Because
to
if
you.
I see benefit charge, I'm like, well, what the hell?
What the hell's that? Yeah.
And we should start calling it account.
Yeah, let's charge, call it something that means something.
So you're gonna bring that back to us in January?
I am, like I said. I would never bring anything to you unless it's an emergency, but I'm gonna ask you to vote on it. You're always gonna have it, at least the market top board, see it again, comment on it again before you take a look.
Thanks very much. Good job. Derek, anything else?
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Real quick, remind me tomorrow, I do, there's something that it did remind me, I don't need to go over it right now, but there's something on there that I said, just, we'll get together about it tomorrow. For which, for the fees, for the fees.
Reappointment and appointment of Economic Development Commission members. If the council doesn't mind, I'm gonna go ahead and do all three together.
That's fine.
Natoma Vargason, Ron Humble, and Dana Healy. I would like to recommend to the council that we reappoint them to the Economic Development Commission members. For how many, is it a 4-year term, Kim?
That's what I'm looking here real quick. Yes,
For 4 more years.
no, it's 3, 3-year.
3-year term. Do I have a motion? Okay, we have a motion by Ray. Do I have a second? Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Abstain. Motion carries. And the new commission member recommendation, they like to table that. They do not have anybody yet to recommend.
That's EDC.
EDC.
Correct. They're going to, they'll have someone when they come back after the holidays.
After the holidays. Yeah,
The lady, one of them is Nate Kraft, who has the moonshine business. He's interested in doing, but we also have a new neighbor who came from Brunswick and was on the Main Street committee down there. So I don't know if you know.
And the lady, I can't remember her name, that works out at Middletown Valley Bank, is the one that's resigning.
She's
There's her workload.
Gloria.
Gloria. Yeah. she's the one that-
Well, she was up for renewal and she decided that she didn't want to renew. Because of her business.
Her bank meetings on the same days.
Yeah.
I noticed she wasn't at the ribbon cutting like across the street.
Yeah, she was. I asked her.
And I
if she-
apologize, I should make. I know, we have a few days.
Any other new business to come before the council? Hearing none, we'll move on to liaison reports, part 4. Rick?
Oh, hold on, it's gonna take a while. Had a meeting at 29th down at the community center to discuss old time Christmas. This week, this month we didn't have any, and the next meeting is 1/24 at 7 o'clock right here.
All I got is not a report, so.
Yeah, right.
Anybody have any questions of Rick?
What took so long?
Hearing none, utilities commission. I mean,
Had to
Sure.
take a breath.
Okay. BMUC last met on November the 15th under old business. We had an update on the sludge press. Via BMUC, we're able to see some pictures of the latest progress. Project is on schedule. The electrical conduit is in the ground, block is up, and the building is wrapped. The street bank restoration, that project is complete, hydro seeded, and anything left to do there is the tree planting. That won't happen until next year.
It's been done.
Oh,
They had a window and they got in there and got it done.
okay, good
It
enough.
poured down rain the very next day.
That's good. That's good. Okay.
Save those guys from watering it.
Schaefer Park, well, we've heard about that a little bit. The last report was the vendor was still waiting on the park, but we know that's been taken care of. The yield test was to be complete the following week of our meeting, and that's been done. And the well won't be online until sometime after Thanksgiving. Future demand policies and applications process for the mayor and council, a draft review for the mayor and council is forthcoming, completion of the document for our December meeting. On the new business, the reservoir status, this #1 project. Scheduling the dive team was recommended for the emergency leak survey and any other needed repairs. Final plans for the new reservoir were received this past Monday. Meeting with town manager, town planner, Pete and Greg for final review. Town managers reaching out for loan info as well as federal, state funding. And the project is scheduled to go out for bid in the spring of 2024. Under new business, tap fees, town planner was reaching for some clarity on the $2,000 connection fees, which we just recently talked about, one for water and one for sewer. We're going to kick that back to the BMUC for some more review. Planning Commission and the BMUC is going to have a joint meeting. It was agreed to for December the 20th. The BMUC will meet first at 5:30 and our joint meeting is going to start at 6. Under systems reports, Pete stated on the sewer side, everything was good. On the water side, they had to replace the transducer at well number 8. Water levels were extremely low due to drought, and this is groundwater levels. Greg stated on the collection side, operations are normal. On the distribution side, several leaks had been repaired. Town planner went over his report, town manager went over his report. Big thing there was for the funding of the reservoir. We meet again on December the 20th at 5:30.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, Lieutenant? Hearing none, planning commission, Gary.
Yes, good evening, folks. So, we did meet on November 28th. everything on the agenda was pretty much Drew giving reports. I have a very capable staff person that comes to these meetings. So there's nothing that was talked about that he didn't already fill us in on. The one thing was he did talk about EDUs and calculation methods, but I think we've also seen that here as well. So everything else about the comp plan, the joint meeting that he and Tony both mentioned, the Chase 6 update, and that was really the gist of it. I did, not part of this deal, but I did have an opportunity to sit in with him the other day when Mr. McElwee was here. Very agreeable gentleman. Drew had some questions, took some notes. I think we're on a good path there. So that's it, and we'll meet with the DMVC in the meeting here on the 20th.
Thank you, sir. Anybody have any questions of there? Hearing on public safety, Mary Lee.
Public Safety Committee did not meet in November and are not meeting this month. They will be meeting next in January.
Thank you. Environmental Commission, Ray? I'm sorry, Economic Development Commission, Ray. I'm sorry. I looked at the Environmental Commission and Ray.
Environmental Commission, last met October 25th. It has not met since. However, we did have a few ribbon cuttings. It was the Upper Cervical Center across the street. We had Ace down here down the road. Pathfinder tasting room, which should be soon. Hopefully by the end of the month, they'll probably push it out. We did have a very successful networking event at the American Legion. Some of you attended. Thank you very much. We have a guys' night out this Thursday.
Where are we going?
Man, we're going to Boonesboro, nicest time of year. So, if you're a guy or if you're not a guy and you want to go out and visit local businesses, they'll be open late this Thursday, so come on out. I think we should.
When they call.
Giovanni's?
Yeah, we go to Giovanni get a drink. Next official meeting is gonna be January 3rd.
When did you say Pathfinders is?
We don't know yet. Probably not this month. We thought we'd have it by now. We're supposed to be on the 8th, same day as Aces and related. So we look for this month, but I really doubt.
I look for next year.
Yeah, I think didn't he say when we did the MML thing, he thought it's gonna be after?
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Oh, if they're open, that might be a place to go for guys now.
This guy's got the- he's got different- They have a tasting room and everything.
Okay.
Back there, so nice. Relaxing chairs and tables. So here at the Pathfinders. Yeah, you go in the back, he's got lounges and everything. Where you sit back there.
You come out tasting, you can.
Come on down.
You can taste it.
Okay. Yeah, he's got it all fixed up nice. You did a good job. We'll go over and take a look at it.
And apparently, Tom, our police officer, Tom, he has a mobile cigar truck that he sells cigars out of the events. So he may even show up out there and we'll have cigars and moonshine.
Will they have a cigar room too? They have a cigar room too, smoke room?
He's gonna make one. We can make it a cigar.
What's his last name?
Tom Morielli.
Moretti.
Is it Moretti?
Yeah, I knew.
Moretti.
Moretti. He was at the.
I think Tom is why they called him instead of my last name.
Yeah, I don't try to, yeah.
Officer Moretti.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now the Environmental Commission, Terry.
Okay, I sat in for Terry because she was out. Okay, and I will say the Environmental Commission is a very well-run group. And they send their minutes out and get them to Kim way before their next meeting, in which all the committees function like that. All right, they were very happy that the town council agreed to restart the 1-year trial for the compost. So I guess we better make sure we're all on the page that the restart, is in November.
The location's pretty nice too.
So they were happy that, and I apologize for the, not going through them first. Site. So one of the big things that they brought up, which I think would be nice, is a welcome packet. I know has been tossed up in the EDC, a welcome packet for new residents, you know, that not only
Do you mind if I
included.
throw something out there to you? real quick?
Okay.
And I think I have mentioned this in the past. I am actually working on a folder right now. It's almost done. And now this is just the folder portion of it, obviously. And I've actually talked to them about obviously how we want to stuff it to make it a welcome package. But I figured that can go out to new residents. We can put it when the welcome center comes in at the museum. So just if you want to update, I have not updated them on that in quite a while, or whoever.
Well, I know it's been tossed around like the EDC before, and I know they tossed around, and I think it was kind of like they were asking, do we know when someone moves into town? And I said, well, yes, because they have to register to get water, you know, sewer change of address. And it's like, people don't know we have a compost bin. They don't know what night recycling is. They don't get the new list of what's allowed to go in the recycling can. To put your trash preferably in a bag so it doesn't blow out and litter up the day after trash day. Where the local churches are, the businesses, so again, maybe that would be something that, you know, all of the groups would like to put in, you know, maybe the park board would say we sponsor blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean, every year the carnival.
Things like don't put crabs in the counter.
Correct, unless you're gonna do it the night before exchange. So I thought that was a nice idea, and I think that's something that maybe we should, you know, consider pursuing, and maybe each little community has something to put in the packet.
Just figuring out what goes in the packet, but I'll send that out to you guys probably pretty shortly.
Good, okay. We had a very informative speaker with Goodwill and how they recycle pretty much everything, even stuff you think that gets there that there's no market for. I mean, they have somebody who does, that's his total job, is to get it to somewhere where it gets recycled. So it was a very nice thing. As far as the town beautification project, the Environmental Commission would like to make sure that we are using some native plants. So once again, I guess that's where we talk with each other when we're doing these things. So again, I have no idea what trees we're planting to be, you know what I mean, but they are wanting to make sure we do native plants.
I do have an update on that as well.
Okay.
So last time I spoke with the commission, it was basically, I was running the list of plants that the engineering community was horticulturists, thank you.
Greenies.
Yeah, so he was coming through with the list, but I wanted to get that list approved by SHA first since it's on the road, so I have done that. And then went back to the engineering company and that was one of them was local plants, SHA approved, ones that did not have daily maintenance. So there's a small list of things, so we should have an actual official list relatively soon.
Okay.
Or we can get it approved again.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay, they're having a zero waste meeting for anybody interested on Wednesday, January 17th at the Boonesboro Library. That is from 5:30 to 7. They would love if someone from the council would join that group. Green Fest is
January 17th, is that?
January 17th from 5:30 to 7 at the Boonesboro Library. It should be in our water stuffer. The Green Fest is scheduled for May 11th, 2024. Fall cleanup was successful. They have an RFP out for the community garden fence. I don't think that was due until December 15th.
Yeah, it's due on this Friday.
Yeah. And they are interested in any grant opportunities for glass crushing and then to continue the composting thing. And they are planning a visit to the city of Winchester for demo on their glass crushing machine. They plan to do that after the first of the year, because I think Tony may express some interest in getting to go, and maybe someone, you know, from council or the town manager, Drew, or anybody who might want to go.
You said Winchester, Mary?
Yes. And then we did recertify for Sustainable Maryland, which is a lot of work, and that committee does that. So that happens.
I think that glass breaking machine's been hanging out up at the old London Falls place. I went up there tossing. I went up there after you all said something at the last meeting. I was like, whoa.
Yep.
I've got to get out the order at the park that you're chasing.
Your speaker,
Okay, I think that's pretty much
your
everything.
speaker from, Goodwill wasn't on tires, was it?
No.
He does. some
His
public
name was
speaking.
Jason Middlecoff, and he's actually the associate director of donated goods, and his job is to make sure that like everything gets recycled. So, you know what I mean? I mean, they'll even take like, which I didn't know, but he'll say, they get like odd shoes. So, I mean, there's a place where the shoes go that actually get, recycled, everything's on it. It would actually been very informative. So,
Where do they plan on putting this crap?
stuff goes to church. I think they just think it would be nice to have one because,
It's
it's
mobile.
not recycling anymore. So I don't know that there's anything more other than just first looking at it.
I think they said in the circle there, connotes circle.
Why not we had Stonehenge back here, Boston?
I have a question for Drew.
We
I
can
just
make
got
it
a message from somebody, and I thought maybe public safety, but we're talking about it. Trinity Lutheran Church is asking how they go about getting a handicap spot in front of the church for Sundays.
On Main Street?
Yeah.
State highway, you have to contact.
Well, yeah, they do, but
They should-
they're, the state, I was gonna defer to us.
Should
They
you,
just paint it, right? Yeah.
should I send them to you?
But I
Send
guess
public
if they
safety?
know,
It's up to you.
Well,
they don't need it to be that way 24/7.
Just one Sunday?
Or
Just
like
on Sunday,
Sunday.
on certain hours or certain.
I believe,
Just do it like we have ours.
yeah, at Mount Nebo.
Nice spaces in front of the church and the sign.
Mhm.
Mount Nebo.
So-
Yeah, we did that a few
Town
years
approve that?
ago.
Greg did that, didn't he? Didn't he put
And he can go back. and
signs
you know, I
up,
don't know if he
bands,
does.
blue lights?
So here's how it works. It's a state highway driver. They ultimately have to say,
Right,
right? So
Right.
that's who you would go ask. But the dirty little secret is,
Yeah.
state highway don't want to deal with any of the parking issues in any town.
Right.
So they advocate, let you guys decide what to do with the parking, so long as it doesn't interfere with any of their site distance or any of their other methods. So you can do it. You should take a courtesy letter from the state telling them what you're gonna
that's
do.
on the corner of Main and cemeteries, it's gotta be a little bit different, more different than what you did up there. Because there's no road next to one of yours, they're part of it.
I told you
It's
that.
already in a legal parking spot. You're not talking about pushing out a
Don't hold me.
parking. Talking about
I'll meet them out on sites that we all know what we're talking about. You're right, if it's right next to an intersection, I don't know if the state highway's gonna approve it, I would get their permission
Well,
first.
you
It's
already
in the
have
middle
marked
of the road.
spots though.
I don't know if they're marking them.
I think you do.
Should have changed one on Stephanie.
Yeah, like, they got marked spots in the parking
Oh,
lot.
Have them call me, I'll look
I
at it.
think it's in there too.
I'm gonna send them to you.
But, just keep these, contact state highway and go through you.
Yeah, just say this is what we're doing.
They'll let
We
you
know
know.
how long that takes.
That's all I got.
I do have one more thing.
Anybody have any questions of Mary Lou?
Oh, not Mary Lee.
Yes, sir.
Anybody but Mary Lee.
You got it.
This is gonna be riveting, this is gonna be an interesting topic. I should have brought it up under correspondence, as I have received correspondence from my neighbors and others about town about the status of the dog park and that people are not picking up after their pets. Has anyone else heard that? And is there anything you do about that?
She had that on.
Yeah,
Facebook,
we
she had it on the town.
Blasted it all over the place.
Yeah.
Clean up your poop. And it's also in the town newsletter.
Okay.
What do they want us to do? Take the fence down and say?
No, here's the thing, like,
They want people to do what they're supposed to do and pick up after themselves.
basically what happened is Greg came to me and then like Ray said, a couple residents have said, when,
People aren't doing it, so, I mean, can we
So
write
this
it
is inside the dog park.
Yeah.
it's the whole park. Basically what happens
Town police department out there enforcing the
is when the mowing stops, people don't pick up after their dogs. So when it gets cold out, people don't think they have to clean up after their dogs, is basically what happens. So.
Actually, oh.
Tell them, pick it up or we'll have new dogs allowed in the
Yeah,
park.
I was gonna say.
That's what they're gonna come to.
Well, when you have a German Shepherd, like a handful, it's like a handful, oh my God.
Really cold day.
We have cameras down there.
Oh my God. Just put it in your pocket. Walk right away.
I get inside.
They got fines.
Howard's getting out of control, buddy.
Anything else?
Get that
Let's
gun
talk
down.
about dogs in the back.
Well, Howard volunteered to clean it up.
We have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any discussions, questions, concerns? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstained, motion carries. Have a good evening.
Oh, yeah.